This is the Creative Download, hosted by Christy Bruneau and Chelsea Nettleton, created by creatives to inspire and encourage others to live in the fullness of their creativity.
All right. Well, welcome to episode 13. It's our last episode of season 1 of the Creative Download. And who are we? I'm Christy Bruneau. I'm a singer-songwriter, scriptwriter, dancer, podcast host. And Chelsea, tell us about you.
Hello, everyone, and hi, Christy. Good to see you as always. I am Chelsea Nettleton. I am a singer-songwriter, photographer, videographer, author. I always forget what I you'd think I'd have this
music
down by
producer.
Budding music producer. I knew that was one I forgot the other day. Podcast host, which I think we forget that one too, which makes me giggle that we both forget that sometimes. Yes. And then now I can officially call myself a miniatures creator because I have been making stuff. I will try and remember to post some pictures of some of the stuff I've been making. It's just been so satisfying. Cool. So yes.
Yes. Well, so what have you been like? Are those the things you've been working on this week? Are you working on miniatures, or were you doing anything since it's been a couple weeks since we
yeah, I was going to say, because we had George the last 2 episodes, which was lovely, and he's delightful. So George, shout out to you if you're listening to this. We just loved having you on and look forward to having you on again. Yeah, let's see. Since for the last couple weeks, gosh, I've actually just been working on trying to get my health not under control, but I've started seeing a new provider and a massage therapist to work on like some of the deep tissue stuff, because I just feel like some of the crud I was dealing with from my chronic fatigue, quote unquote chronic fatigue syndrome and mono from years back, kind of creeping back up. So I was like, you know what? I can't do anything creatively if I'm exhausted all the time and just not feeling well. So so I've been actually focusing more on that than on art. But in the meantime, I have been trying to work on my miniatures, just because I finally have found something that I don't really think about anything else while I'm doing it. It's relaxing. My best friend Elle was like, man, she's like, I don't know how you have the patience for that. She's like, that would drive me nuts. And I'm like, it's so satisfying for some reason, like making the little details. I should have posted a picture of my most recent creation. I was trying to make some little bumblebees for her, because she does this farmer's market every like once a month. She has a little stall there, and there was like National Honeybee Day or something like that. And I was like, I really wanted to make something for her, and she's like, what if you made me a bee? And I tell you what, I tried so many different ways and I could not make a little bumblebee. It was so funny. And I ended up making faces that look more like possessed little smiley faces. It was hilarious. So I'll post that too. Yeah, they were a little scary. So I never ended up. Oh, and then I did end up making. I made a little beehive, and it was adorable. And I had it like kind of hang. I put some wire into it to kind of have it so it could hang. And I brought it to the market, and I was walking over to her stall, or I was getting ready to go over to her stall. I get out of the car, and I stepped out, and it fell off the wire. And as I was taking a step, so I squished my beehive. I was so bummed. It was like, I should have taken a picture of it because it was so cute. So yes, long story there. That's kind of all I've been working on, is just trying to get some health stuff under control, and working on my miniatures, because I can just kind of have fun and play.
Oh, good.
Yeah. How about you? What have you been working on?
Well,
you did a lot of vocals recently.
Yeah, a lot of vocal stuff. I mean, it's been, yes. So just really refining a lot of vocals. We're finishing, George and Lori and we did a group of songs, 5 songs, with the plan to have those ready to go when I go to the production music conference in October, which you are coming with me. I'm so excited. Mm-hmm. So this is the last song, and it just has a lot of vocals. So just so fun. Harmonies are a little new to me, which I'm getting better at, and it's been a lot of fun to do them. Good. And we choose not to use some of the plugins that some people use to double their voices, because it just sounds a little bit robotic for us. And I know that's a very popular sound right now, but so I have to match them. And so I'm, hard. So it's really working at a lot of listening. And, it's funny that how much brain power the active listening, because that's you're really listening for
True.
every little nuance. And so I did that a lot. That's what I've been focusing on a lot. And then doing a little bit of our TV series that you and I
Yeah.
are writing. I've been in doing some updates and revising the outline, which we don't talk as much on this season. I think we're going to have a lot more to talk about next season on our TV
Oh,
series. But
yeah.
yeah, and you know what? Also, just on the health side of it, a lot of singing for me means that I can't really just eat whatever I want.
Oh,
So,
yeah.
um, so it's been an interesting thing. I can't have dairy. I mean, I really have to watch how I eat when I'm
Yeah,
doing a lot
interesting.
of vocals. And it's more so to just keep this instrument clear, so that there's
Hmm.
no like acid reflux or there's no. So I've cut back on so much stuff that naturally,
Yeah.
but I've been so moody. And
Oh
it was
no.
so funny because I was like, God, I'm so moody and a little tired too.
Yeah,
And a lot of it was like cutting out, there's a lot of sugar I haven't had.
right.
And really, it's so funny because I don't do it for health. I do it for the sound of my voice.
Yeah, which is
You would,
awesome.
you would think. And I quit smoking when I was in my 20s, same thing.
Yeah.
Like I knew smoking was bad. It is. It's bad for you. If you're a smoker, I'm sorry. It's the hardest thing ever to quit. But singing in the band, I couldn't so I quit to be able to sing better in the band. It's
This is
like
awesome.
so I want really good vocals. So it's just been an interesting thing because I have had less sugar. So my body, I feel like, is adjusting.
Yeah, that is so rough.
And
Oh.
I've been eating healthier. So I found like when I do that, I am my instrument
Hmm.
if I'm singing. So I have to take care of my instrument.
Right.
And also like not as much talking,
Oh yeah.
like so I just have been a lot more conscious of that. So it's been
Interesting.
interesting. It's kind of shifted my mood. I didn't realize it till today. Like,
Yeah.
oh, I know why I've been moody. I've had like hardly any sugar. I'm a sugar freak, you guys. Like,
Oh, that
sugar.
yeah, no sugar for me is the fastest way to get me pissy.
Yes. And I've been
So
eating
you can get through
healthy.
it and then it's not so bad, but
Yeah, and feeling good, but boy, it's just like sugar's an easy way to
oh,
not deal with stuff, I
yep.
guess.
Yep.
That I'm like, okay.
Well, and it causes what that dopamine release,
Yeah,
or it releases dopamine, so it's like gives you that like high at first, and
yeah.
then yeah, it's
Well, and
nasty.
I've been doing more working out, more yoga, like all
Nice.
these things that I need to do. Downtime, resting, like just
Yeah.
really, I'm gonna say it's like kind of more radical self-care is
Good.
what it
That's
is.
amazing.
And so that I can get these really these vocals.
That's
So I mean,
fantastic.
I should keep doing it. Yeah. But I mean,
That's
like last
impressive.
night, I was like 9 o'clock. I'm like dead. I'm like, good night. Good night,
For
everybody.
now.
I'm going to bed. But
Good night, world.
and I didn't realize like you can put caffeine and sugar in your body to keep you going, but it really
Right.
like was messing with my throat. So my
That's
vocals.
so
Hmm.
interesting.
Hmm.
I'm lucky because I don't deal with that as much.
Hmm.
It's definitely still noticeable, and I know there's things that I could be doing to take better care of my vocals.
Hmm.
But I applaud you for taking care of your instrument. Like, well done, because that's not easy, you know.
No, and it hasn't been a struggle in the sense that like I haven't like been resistant. I haven't had resistance, so it feels like the natural thing to do.
Sure.
So it's like, and I can hear so much of the difference now
Oh,
in
that's
what
cool.
I'm doing. So it really has been helping. So yeah, mostly that and just, a little bit of work and,
Yeah, our
you
day
know,
jobs.
there are full-time jobs. Oh, I'll say this. I do believe we attract like what we focus on and what we are.
Yeah,
And so we
yeah.
had a client send us somebody that they're selling a meditation center. They own these two houses and they're meditation centers. It's not
Oh,
they're actually homes.
yeah.
And it was like the most peaceful
Oh,
listing presentation I've ever been on. It was really
nice.
cool. They're like I was like, "Oh, they're so calm." Most people are right now are not so calm. And so
Yeah.
it was really nice to be
In a
in my
calm
work
space.
life calm because I'm really practicing that in my own life.
I'm trying to do the same. It's so funny that you say that because and I think this is important for, especially for art. Like, so my best friend and I were talking about that this morning, how, um, frequencies and energies, like, for those of you guys that maybe don't believe in that or that that's a thing, that's totally fine. Like, just skip past this part. But I have come to find that, like, it's actually a very scientific thing, like
Mhm.
frequencies and energies.
Yeah.
Like, it's not hoodoo voodoo, like it's a thing. And she and I were talking about how she's like, you know what, I haven't really like gone through to like cleanse my house in a while, and we were talking about that, like, what does that look like? And how do it was just
Yeah.
interesting because I think I was like, oh, you know what, I haven't really done that in my mind in a while. I haven't done that in my house, just kind of being conscious of that and purposely, you know, or through, like, I have some amazing essential oils. Like, I still think that those are very beneficial, and there's proven powers to peppermint, there's proven powers to sage. Like, it's
Oh,
not
and
just a
lemongrass.
lemongrass. Like, some of
Mhm.
those things like actually cleanse the air, like
Mhm.
not in a spiritual way, like in an actually scientific way, you know.
No,
And
I
I'm like, oh,
agree.
that's
I
really
agree. And
important to just,
I think that is a great intro into the topic that we were talking about. Like, what are we
yeah.
going to talk about for our last episode for season one? And we thought about just say yes.
Yes.
And then what I mean in that is like just say yes to what your body and what your energy and what your creativity is asking for.
Yeah.
And sometimes that means you have to say no to other things. Like, so I love this talk about energy. I've been listening to a neuroscientist. I listen to other podcasts a lot. I think
Yeah.
her name is Dr. Tara Swart. I can't remember if
Okay.
that's how you say her last name. But she was talking about contagious stress.
Ooh, yeah.
And back to like my vocals, like if I'm around stress, my body tenses up, my throat tenses up unconsciously.
Yes.
And so I've really been like having this like I said, like it's almost like a radical self-care while I'm
Yeah.
finishing this project so that I'm not in a lot of stressful situations. Like sometimes I have to go to work and I'm going to do that, but I like then I will
Right.
like go to yoga and release all that before I do a song. Like so I'm very conscious, but the way she talks about it with being in it made so much sense to me. I'm very very sensitive to other people stress,
Yeah.
and if I'm outside it's easier because it's like it can
Yeah.
bounce off the walls, but if I'm
Yes.
inside and there's a lot of people who are holding in a lot of stress,
Yeah.
she talks about it like leaking out of your skin, and there's like scientific evidence of that. So I feel like saying yes to, like when if you're watching this and you're on episode 13, then you are probably somebody that is practicing creativity in some form or not. I would hope. Shout out to Lori, my song co-writer, because she
Woohoo! Hi,
has
Lori.
watched all of them, and George.
Yay. You guys are the
And
best.
I know I think Caitlin, a friend, songwriter friend in Nashville, she watches these too.
Oh, I love that.
It's so like important that to say yes to some things that are scary, because we were talking about this
Oh
before
man.
we
Yeah.
started today,
Mm-hmm.
but that is the right thing. And when I was reflecting on this today about, well, like when you clear, like we talked about clearing the channel in, I think, like episode 2 or 3.
Yeah, it was towards the very beginning.
Yeah. And when you do that, then you're much more susceptible to picking up stuff,
Yeah, it's
around.
almost like you clear out a space. You got to be careful then what
Yeah.
fills that up.
Right.
Yeah.
And so for me to sing and to like really have the feel and the emotion into it, I have to have a clear channel.
Mm-hmm.
And so I have to like, also then be conscious of that. Like I know. And I remember when we did I went to the retreat in Nashville, a
Mm-hmm.
songwriting retreat. That was a conversation at the end of the retreat. When
Yeah.
you leave here, you're all opened up now. You guys have been
Yeah.
opened and singing, and the world is not that. And so it's okay to have windows and doors. Like Judy Stakee, this is her thing. So I have to give her credit. Like windows and doors to let things in and then shut them when it's not okay. Like if you don't want someone in.
Sure.
And so it's just been an interesting, journey in that way. Like this last, like what we've been doing this for 6 months,
Hmm.
and then we've had some progression with our TV series,
Yeah.
which we were talking about. Maybe we should talk a little bit about that.
I
Like
was gonna say, yeah, we can jump into that
the
with
fear
like,
around it,
yeah.
right? So we're saying yes, but our channel is clear and we know what the right thing is
Hmm.
and who to work with and who not to work with. And
Hmm.
I think we're pretty clear, but we also being open like that, like you were saying, being tired, it's like it's
Hmm.
almost like quantum leaping a little bit into
Yeah.
things. And so
Yeah.
then I like if for me, I've done some quantum leaping like that in my life, and then I'm like, whoa, I gotta just like settle
Yeah.
in.
I'm exhausted.
Let me just catch my bearings right here.
Yeah.
So it's not it's so learning how to just say yes to like the part that's coming to you that is yours
Hmm.
and discern what's not,
Right.
and being able to say not, like creating that sacred space
Yeah.
um for you from where you're at, for where I'm at and what I need to grow, continue to grow.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's so what for those of you guys that, you know, the conversation that Christy and I were having this morning or before this, we were talking about how the fear of okay, so with our TV series, like the fear, at first you think, oh, the fear of failing, or the fear of it not going anywhere, but there's also a lot of fear on the other side of it too, like of, well, what happens if this does get picked up? What if somebody does want to, I mean, there's so many things with that. So I think we realized we're like, oh, that could be partly why we've been hesitating or why we haven't been, besides the fact that, yes, we work full time jobs, and we have families and stuff. I think there's a lot of fear there on both sides of it, you
Yeah.
know, because once you let it go, once you do what you're supposed to do, whatever the piece of art is, and then let it go, you just have to kind of wait and see what happens, and it's like the waiting game, the not knowing, getting out of your comfort zone. I mean, all that stuff. It's like,
But even
oh,
just what we were just did too, and I don't know if we've even talked about this on the podcast, was the next step. We've gotten the TV series to the point where it was time to reach out to somebody in entertainment law to say,
mhm,
okay, now what do we do? Because
right,
we know what to do. I've learned what to do with songs. You've been
right.
learning what to do with songs. I know how to do that for songs.
Hmm.
But we didn't know. So I have a
Yeah.
friend, who I love, who I've done the artist way with. Like, so again, like clear, who am I going to work with? Like going through, like, who should I work with? Oh,
Yeah.
that's right. She lives in Rome,
Yeah.
Michelle.
Which is so cool.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh my
But
gosh.
she works remotely and she loves what she does and she's super intelligent and she's very art centered and creative centered. And she's someone I've known 30 years.
Hmm.
And she put together a contract for you and I, which was
Hmm.
just a whole like, oh, we're going to do a
Yeah. Getting into the
contract
business side of
between
it, it's like,
us,
ooh, yeah, right.
And I know, and so that part, it's just like for me, I had a lot of just say yes going on,
Yeah.
and the reason why I say the just say yes is I'm going to give you a little background on me. I came from a family that were not risk takers at all. I came from
Same.
a family that when I wanted to say yes to something and I was scared, they oftentimes threw up roadblocks. Like I come
Ugh.
from a very dysfunctional family. I come from a family that's had a lot of mental illness. I come from a family where there's alcoholism.
Yeah.
And really to even be living in California, like to have
Yeah.
even been able to move and live the life I live is just a complete miracle. And
Hmm.
part of how I've been able to do that is I've had moments in my life where I've been offered my dream and I have to just say yes and
Yeah.
not know how I'm getting to the next place.
Yeah.
Because I remember when I was going to be moving here, and it was such a magical thing. Like I was offered a job and I was coming with a friend and And the week before I moved to California, I was so uh, sad and scared. I
Mm.
cried for like a week. And I went to my dad's house. I was very tight with my stepmom, not as tight with my dad. And I was just so distraught. And I was telling him, I've been crying for a week. My stomach hurts. I'm just so scared to go. And his response was, well, then don't go.
Right.
And I'm
That's would be a
like,
lot of people's responses.
and I am so grateful I've had this little voice in me, like since I was 8. I remember when it showed up, telling him about a dream or a wish I had, and he just was like, "Yeah, wishes don't come true." And I
Yeah.
remember thinking, "I'm not going to believe that.
Yeah.
I am not going to believe that. I am going to believe that dreams come true. That when we want something and it's the right thing for us, you know." So I've had that for a long time, and
Yeah.
but it's easy to say I've looked back in my life and been like, "Oh my God, if I wouldn't have said yes in that moment, I would not be where I'm at today." So
Yeah.
you'll know it. And I think the fear is different when it's the fear of the unknown, because you just, yes, maybe just the fear of the unknown versus the fear is real.
Yeah.
I should not say yes to this.
Right. Right. When it's a legit, like, this is your instincts telling you, no, this
Yeah,
is
it's a
bad.
different feeling.
It
And
is
so
a different feeling.
that's why when you're really in tune with your body and yourself, you can make that distinction. I don't always in the moment. I mean, I'm much better now, but I've had like at about 23, I started like, I'm going to do this, you know?
Mhm.
And like, and I was talking to one of the producers, local producers, Christopher Hoffey, who's here. He's talked about this. A lot of artists just don't think they're good enough.
Right.
That
Right.
good enoughness, not good enoughness voice will interfere with just saying yes.
Yep. Yep.
And there is, for me, sometimes some residual like stuff I have to do to deal with that.
Hmm. Same.
And
Yeah.
that's, I think you and I are going through that right now,
I agree.
because we've taken the next step with getting we're waiting just to get the final draft now of our agreement between you and I, which was,
Mhm.
it's uncomfortable. We had to talk
Right.
about all these things.
Right.
And then now we have the contract. And then now we're almost this. And now the next step is like, oh, we're going to reach out to a friend that works in that industry to like get some feedback. And like so it's like, oh, I just had to say yes to like, I remember like with Michelle and the meetings we were having, I had so much resistance going on and
Yeah.
fear. The
Same.
first time I went to meet with her, it was so subconscious. I was like 30 minutes late.
Oh, really?
I thought it was at 8:30. It was at 8. She texted me. She's like, "Hello, are you coming to the meeting?"
Oh, no.
And I was like, "Oh my God, I can't believe this." And that, like, I have a lot of internal, because I grew up with parents that were not risk taker, not supportive. They were
Right.
like, I have those voices that I have to deal with sometimes, when I do say yes,
Yeah.
that are kind of can scream at me. Yeah, like a
Yeah.
chorus that
Yeah.
can
Oh, no.
scream
And
at me.
I feel you. I mean, I love my mom to pieces, and she meant well, and she did the very, very best that she could with me and my brother. But
Mhm.
I do remember, and I know she would remember this. Like, I do remember her saying things like, like I would get frustrated about something. She's like, well, life isn't fair, or, don't get your hopes up, and she didn't realize what she was saying. She didn't know that it was gonna, what that meant psychologically, but hearing those things over and over was really hard. So you get to this point where it's like, I still hear the voice in my head, don't get your hopes up, when I think about our TV series, or think about, and you know what, I just realized, I think that what that's turned into for me is imposter syndrome.
Mm.
Don't get your hopes up. I feel like, I still feel like I don't, like, I'm not in the sync world, because I don't have anything that's been placed or anything like that yet. I'm not even to that point where any of my stuff is ready, to go, but I'm already catching myself. I'm like, so I'm wondering if, like, for me, or, with the just say yes, if that's a way to combat imposter syndrome,
Well, and yes, and to just say yes, we talked about this earlier because it's kind of a recap of what we've already talked about,
Yeah.
but
Hmm.
just to say yes to where you're at,
Yes. Meet
because
yourself where you're at.
where you're at,
Hmm.
right? So, like,
Yep.
that's been so helpful for me when I'm scared. Like, so, we know where we're at
Hmm.
with the writing of the TV
Hmm.
series.
Yep.
We also, believe it's a good idea. I believe it's
Yeah.
a good idea. You believe it's a good idea, which that adds a whole other layer.
Yeah.
Um, my stomach gets butterflies,
Me
thinking
too.
about it. And so I'm like, okay, like, I feel like that little section I was reading to you is like a good spot to read this from Big Magic, the very
Oh
end of
yeah.
the book, Big Magic.
Okay.
I finally finished it. This has been the hardest book for me to finish, and the ending
Isn't
is
that
the
interesting?
best.
Yeah.
And this is by Elizabeth Gilbert, and she says, I recently spoke to a woman who said, I'm almost ready to start writing my book, but I'm having trouble trusting that the universe will grant me the outcome I want. And she goes on to say, fierce trust demands that you put forth the work anyhow, because fierce trust knows that the outcome does not matter. The outcome cannot matter. Fierce trust asks you to stand strong within this truth. You are worthy regardless of the outcome. You will keep making your work regardless of the outcome. You will keep sharing your work regardless of the outcome. You were born to create regardless of the outcome. You will never lose trust in the creative process, even when you don't understand the outcome.
Hmm.
And I love that because we are so outcome focused, and that's probably why we do why we do this podcast. The whole reason I was
Hmm.
telling my vocal coach yesterday, he's like, "What's up with this podcast you're doing?" He saw our
Which, first of
post.
all, is so cool that he saw the post and he like asked you about it. It was like, oh, nice. All
Yeah.
right.
So I'm telling him, and I'm like, it's all about like not the finished product. It's
Yeah.
about what happens on the way to the finished product.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
we're in it. We are in the soup of creativity on this TV series that I think I believe in. I know you believe in.
Hmm. I was watching, I mean, like this doesn't give anything away for it, but I know that, like I have a really hard time watching Apple TV, like some of the shows on Apple TV and not feeling like that's where our show belongs, you
I
know?
know. I
And I
know.
mean, it's so, oh God, I still like, even as I say that, I kind of hesitate because I'm like, how ridiculous does that sound, to people listening going, oh, well, psh, how do you think you're going to get on app? And it's like, well, how do you get there if you don't dream, if you
Yeah.
don't aim for that? I started coming up with a phrase. I don't know, maybe not a phrase, and I'm sure somebody else has coined this before, but I used to get frustrated with my husband because I always felt like I dreamed really big, like I aimed for the moon, and he was like constantly trying to pull me down. That was my impression, and come to realize that's really not the case, and we've had some really cool conversations since then. But the phrase that kind of comes to mind is like, I aim for the moon and then I figure out where I land, but like, I don't know, if you don't aim big, you're not going to go big, and if you aim big and you don't end where you think you want to go, you're going to end where you should be going.
Oh yeah.
But if, there's a cliche phrase, that a lot of Christians will say, that like God can't move a parked car. And I actually really like that phrase, like, I'll kind of back that off to, you can't move a parked car if you're not at least trying and moving in whatever direction it is you think you're supposed to go. Like, you can't, that's a pain in the ass to try and turn a car like that, but if it's moving and it's like, oh, this isn't the right direction, but this is okay, cool. It's way easier to get on the where you're supposed to go.
Yeah.
And I have to keep telling myself, I'm like, well, obviously people, get their shows. Like, it happens. People get
Happens.
their shows on TV. Why can't it be us? But that's really hard, you know, and then to also just be enjoying the process. And I'm glad you said that, because I, I, I needed that reminder just for our show. Is I'm like, I need to enjoy this process, you know. I'm so destination focused. I always have been. And I remember years ago talking with somebody about that, where it's like, you need to focus more on the journey. you know, and I was like, okay, yes, I need to, and it is more fun to focus on the, the journey when you really can. So that's a good reminder. I need to have that in mind for when we keep working on the pilot and everything.
Well, and there's a bunch of little steps between, it's like kind of when you were sharing about, I'm a dreamer too. Oh, I'm a dreamer.
Yeah.
And I remember telling my mom when I was a junior in high school that I wanted to go to San Diego State. And she
Yeah.
was like, that ain't happening.
Yeah.
You're going to ASU. Your dad works at ASU. You're going to ASU. Da, da, da. Well, I had graduated from San
Yeah.
Diego State.
Yeah.
Now, it wasn't right out of high school. I didn't go there, but
Sure.
I ended up moving to California, going to San Diego State and doing that. And it wasn't willful that I'm going to do
Right.
this, but it
Right.
was definitely like where I needed to go.
Yeah.
And I think there's these little steps that go on, right? So, like,
Right.
my experience is like you get these series of saying yeses to your future, to your outcome, to your dream.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, for us, the first one is like, oh, we're like, there's so little, like, let's just meet and talk
Yeah.
about it. Then it's like,
Yeah.
then we'll do this. And then we put together the outline. Then we put together the, show Bible. Then we put together the,
Mm-hmm.
build the characters,
Pilot.
So
Yeah.
it's like all these little things. And then it's like, then we say yes to the contract.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh, now the next one is saying yes to having it looked at, which is like where,
Yes.
well, because with songwriting, because I've been doing this and it's great because I've spent this last year with George and Lori, we have spent a year applying and adjusting songs with critiques.
Yeah.
I've never done that before, this
Yeah.
much.
Yeah.
Like all five of these songs have gone through a process
Yeah.
of revision and like today I sang the vocals again for the last song because we found a better way for the vocals to sound. I'm going to do that.
Mm-hmm.
I tend to think that's going to be similar to
Yeah.
the TV series. Like we're coming with a draft idea.
Mm-hmm.
We're coming with a draft idea and then but there's all these series of steps in the meantime. And I
Mm-hmm.
think that part of learning I've done this last year on songwriting that way has given me this new like muscle around creativity that is I'm still always a work in progress.
And that's a good thing, not a
Yeah.
bad thing. That, yeah, because I tend to struggle with that feeling if that's a bad thing. And it's like, no.
No, it's like I'm
Yeah.
going to be growing forever in this because
Yeah.
creativity is not fixed. And I think almost as I'm saying this out loud, I'm realizing that we are so driven in our education system to outcome and
It
we are
really,
so
yeah.
driven to like it has to look a certain way. That's
Yeah.
why we get stuck with you get caught in copying a lot of things as
Right.
opposed to letting something creative come through. There's a
Right.
difference.
Yep.
And as we let creativity come through, it's like, okay, now, like, here it comes. Okay.
Yeah.
Where's this going to go? I mean,
Right.
it's kind of like, and when we can do that, that to me is like the power of creativity.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then it's not taking, we're not taking I'm going to use a painter as an example.
Sure.
I'm not looking at somebody like, Georgia O'Keeffe or Frida Kahlo, who I love, and going, I'm going to paint like Frida Kahlo. I'm going to paint exactly how she painted. Maybe you learn that way doing some
Right.
things, but like this is really like allowing stuff to come through.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm a work in progress.
Mm-hmm.
And then when we go and hand it to somebody, we're not in school. We're not
Right.
there to get, but we're here to take, we're going to hopefully meet with your friend who's
Right.
going to give us some clarity that we need on our
Right.
next steps to say yes to.
Yes.
That's kind
Yes.
of how I'm trying to look at it.
Well, and it kind of just dawned on me, and this might sound really silly and simple to other people, but so destination versus the journey, the journey versus destination. Like with our series, if we had in mind that it's like, okay, this is like just totally destination focused, we wouldn't probably have done like, because our series has changed a
Yeah.
lot over I mean, it's still the general, within the general theme and idea, but it's changed a lot, character wise and story wise. And I mean, even now, like you and I are working on a new version of the pilot, which is great because that's how it should be. But when we get, and that's because we're journey focused, we're enjoying the process for the most part. Like I said, I needed
Yeah.
the reminder to kind of jump back into focusing on the journey. That's, I don't know, I just find that interesting because when you're destination focused, it's harder to see where it's like, oh, what would just make this pop is if we, brought in this character at towards the beginning rather than introducing her later, and um changing the pilot when we talked about a story and it's like, oh my gosh, that needs to be the pilot. But if
Yeah.
we were so destination focused where it's like, well, nope, too late, we already have this, we can't change things. That to me is being too destination focused versus what is the journey this art is taking us on. Now obviously there comes a point when you're like, okay, I'm calling this finished,
Yeah.
but I think that almost comes like when you don't even know, and then all of a sudden you're like, oh no, this is done. Okay, this journey is finished. I kind of feel like too that makes it just that much easier, quote unquote, to then have somebody look at it because it's like when I get so focused on, oh gosh, I have to get this done, I have to get this done, I have to get this done, then there's so much pressure on that final product or piece. And what if it's not good? What if I get poor critique? Well, if I enjoyed the journey to get there, I feel like
Yeah.
it'd be easier to take the critique and either fix it or start on something different.
Yeah.
That was all kind of coming to me as we were chatting.
Well, and I hear like the voice of the War of Art in my head of
Uh-huh.
him because this we've been challenged to like do this, and I think now I'm going to have a little. Well, now that my songs are done, I'm going to have okay. Now I have more time.
Yeah.
But to just sit down at the computer for an hour,
Uh-huh.
to like, because we got a lot of the idea all out, like
Hmm.
now it's like refining it
Yeah, it's
and
organizing and refining it.
organizing and refining. It's like what we did with the songs, it's
Hmm.
like the first part, and Lori and George and I kind of went through this a little bit, and then we had to go, okay, we need to finish the songs
Right.
because the beginning is so much more fun.
Right.
Where like the ideas coming in and and we're like very like in the moment with the song, and then so because we've got like 4 or 5 in the wings right now
Hmm.
because we wanted to keep doing the writing part because
Right.
the writing part's so much fun, the idea part,
Right.
and we decided we want to have good finished products for the songs. We want the songs to be really good. So then we like stopped writing new stuff for a little while.
Mhm.
Although I just wrote a song today. But like
Oh, nice.
yeah, I mean songwriters are always writing songs, but like
Yes.
to like get together and like actually
Right.
songwrite, we decided as a team we would stop doing that for right now. We have these songs
Right.
already in the wings. We're going to finish these 5
Hmm.
and like we'll be done. I think in 2 weeks we're going to be done with all 5 songs.
Yay.
So, and then, so I feel like you and I are like, we've done all the idea, we've got the little outline of what everything's going to happen. Now we're in that refining mode, and that is a different,
It's a
I
different
have
beast.
to like, well, it's what?
It's a different beast.
It is, and I've had trouble sitting down to do it, and I did last weekend sit down, and like now like this is the technical stuff, you guys, but now we're both on the same final draft. We can kind of go back and forth with each other. Some of that we
Yeah.
had to figure out. You just like with
Yeah.
songwriting had
Yeah.
to figure out how do we write, how are we going to write this together
Hmm.
more efficiently.
Yeah. How are we going to actually do
Yeah,
the literal collaborating part?
part of it, right? So now we figured that out. So it's like, okay, now with the refining of it, I mean, I got excited. It's like I sat down and I was sitting, last weekend, and I like started like putting those ideas together that we had
Hmm.
to like shift that pilot, and I started writing in there, and I was like, oh, and it's so interesting how more stuff comes forward.
Yep.
like new ideas come forward for it.
When you're in it and moving and working
Yeah,
with it. Yep.
that's the goal. Is I really hear Stephen Pressfield's voice now.
Yes.
Just sit at the just sit, I mean, and it's
Just sit down and do it.
just sit down for an hour, and
Yeah.
even and just work on it for an hour.
Well,
Um,
and I can even relate that to again a throwback to Mike with songwriting for guitar, Mike Meiers.
mhm.
I I still struggle with this. And this is so funny to me that I struggle with this because he's like a lot of people try and sit they're like, "Oh, I'm going to sit down and I'm going to practice my guitar for an hour a day." And what do you think most people do? Not that,
Well,
you
I
know.
play. I don't ever end up practicing.
Hey,
I just make.
that still counts.
Yeah,
But he's like, so many people think that they need to make these big lofty goals of, an hour and a half, hour of practice. He's like 15 minutes a day.
15 minutes a day.
15 minutes a day and so he talks about that with practicing your guitar
Yeah,
because he's like at 15 minutes a day at the end of a month, like your skills are going to be there, like you're going to see the difference.
yeah,
So I'm like, we could totally relate that to other projects or to other arts. I mean, if you're a painter, 15 minutes a day, and that doesn't even mean that what does that mean for you as a painter? Does that mean looking at the different colors that are out there? Doesn't mean that you have to be physically painting for 15 minutes.
yeah,
What is it for your art that's 15 minutes a day? And again, that doesn't have to be rigid. Maybe it's 15 minutes 6 days a week,
yeah.
which is, but I find that it funny that I'm suggesting that and talking about that because I still struggle to do that. But I also have found that as an like person with ADD, it's sometimes that doesn't work super well for ADD people. So I'll maybe in our season 2, I can talk more on that because I'm doing research and I'm chatting with a friend about it, trying to figure out like, okay, so if I don't if I don't do well at making goals or habits like that, like kind of like a normal person, what do I do as a neurodivergent, as ADD, like
Well, you know what's
what works well
interesting
for
that you
me?
say that. Okay, here's some I have a theory on this. I think as creative people, we aren't always so organized
Yeah.
because our ideas don't come to us always so organized.
Yes.
Um, Walt Disney, and I actually learned a lot of this from my business coach, my Tom
Mm.
Ferry, our real estate coach.
Hmm.
Walt Disney had a wall. I think he had it like blackboards, like a whole wall
Yeah,
of
I
blackboard.
think you're right. Yep.
And he would just get these random ideas. And he would go to the wall and he'd write it down.
Hmm.
And he had this idea wall.
Hmm.
And they didn't always connect right away. See, this is the part I think that I wish we had more of this in our education system because we really don't like. We have, unless you go to art school, maybe, or you're in theater. There's like I've seen it in certain pockets of.
Hmm.
If you're at like a performing arts school, maybe you see some
Right.
of this more. But um, our creative ideas are constantly are coming at us. We're getting those downloads.
Right. And we don't know when
So
or where or what's going to cause them.
so Walt Disney had his wall.
Hmm.
He had a mouse up there. He
Hmm.
had these other dogs up there,
Hmm.
and then all of a sudden he had the idea to put it together.
Hmm.
He would look at the wall and be like, what do I do with like, what is this? And then he found it was like the next ideas would come that, oh, these are
Yep.
characters.
Yep.
I'm going to make these characters do something. But
Yeah.
it wasn't so organized in the sense. So what I think that's kind of even going back to our TV series, we're actually trying to organize it.
Right.
And
Which
so because
sometimes feels like herding cats
it
for me
is right. So
in my
it's
brain.
like now in order to share it, right? In
Yeah.
order to do that. Now, I'm going to say like of my writing team, George is our organizer.
Yeah. He's
Actually,
really good at that.
you're a very good organizer.
Really?
Yes,
Isn't that
because
funny?
I was looking through our notes and I was like, oh my God, you had the intuitive wherewithal in the very beginning to just start taking all these notes.
Yeah.
And so we have this like just all this information, that was down. Now, I mean, you're faster at that than I am, so I would probably just hit record. but the way you organize it, but that's not even organizing it because then you have to go
Yeah.
through a video, you know.
Yeah.
So like the way you organized it and the way you have already organized it has been really efficient.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
That's encouraging because again, I was just saying earlier, I'm like, I feel like I'm having a hard time getting things organized. So, okay, so there's an element of my brain that can organize, and then there's other areas where I struggle,
Yeah.
which is what's fun about having a collaborator because then it's like, okay, well, you struggle here, but I'm kind of strong in that area, vice versa.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I appreciate that because I think we need to be told a lot of times. Well, gosh, wasn't that when George was on? You guys had to tell me, like, well, I think you did quite a bit, like
Yeah.
it took other people looking in at your stuff going,
Yeah.
you actually got a lot done. You need to be a little more gentle with yourself.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I think I would freaking love to have a giant wall of whiteboards, or shoot, even going back to old school with chalkboards
Well, they do the
like Walt
chalk
Disney.
paint. Like a friend
They
of mine and I
do.
did that. She chalk painted her whole wall.
I would love to
And then
have
she would
that.
just go, but I know some people have done whiteboard, like just
Yeah, I used
you
to
can do a
have,
whole whiteboard wall.
yeah, I used to
Mhm.
have two really big whiteboards. The funny thing about it though is I didn't use them. This is going to sound so silly, but I think more people would relate to it than I realize. I wouldn't use them because I didn't like the idea of erasing anything. It was like I wanted to make sure that I had everything down. So then I was like, well, okay, take a picture of it, when and then you can erase it, so that you still have it, blah, blah, blah. I still wouldn't use them. And I'm like, well, why is that? Then mine was like, well, because my brain, I need to be able to move things around. So I just need one of these super high tech, like futuristic boards where I can like write stuff up there and throw it this way and just something simple
Yeah.
like that.
Well, Canva, the
No
Canva,
biggie.
the Canva thing we have
That has
for
been helpful.
that is like kind of the whiteboard, I think, like if you had a big screen
That's what I was saying. I was like,
for your,
that's what I want is like a big, that would be amazing. And if I had a little bit bigger monitor.
yeah,
So, because that's one thing that I have found out from my brain. And maybe this is a good thing to talk about because it's like, you got to figure out for your brain, we're not cookie cutters. Like we're not all, one
Mhm.
size fits all. Like our brains all work differently. It doesn't matter if you have ADD or not, or if you're on the spectrum or not, whatever it is, our brains work differently. And so loving yourself and loving your art enough to figure out how you work is really important. And I'm telling that to myself as I'm saying that. Um, and I know from my brain that like, yeah, the whiteboard and Canva, that works really well for me because I can keep things, I can move it over to the side. But the big thing I was thinking with that is I have to see the whole big picture. I struggle with details because then I get it's truly that like I can't see the forest for the trees.
Yeah,
I'll be up close to one tree and that is all I can see. If I'm on a detail and then all of a sudden it's like my brain, I don't know if it's because I can't remember everything, unless I'm looking at it. Like
hmm
I don't know if my memory is bad, but so it's like if I could see it all here and go, ooh, okay. And I know most of you are probably listening to this and not seeing my visual, but I'm like using the huge hand gestures, like if I
yeah.
had this up in this right hand corner and I could grab that and go, ooh, I need to bring this down here, but I see it all. Did you ever watch the show Castle?
Um,
So
I
it's
think
not
so.
really like, I mean, it was a fun show, but what the thing that I remember most about it is he had something like what I'm describing. He had some sort of screen or monitor.
Mhm.
He's an author in that show.
Yeah,
He's a crime author. Uh where he could do that, and he could zoom in on something and then pull back really easily and be like, "Oh wait, where was this?"
yeah.
I,
See, I think
I
with
just can't figure
Canva,
out how to.
you could probably attach some kind of a screen thing to a computer that it would
Yeah, like
project,
a big projecting.
like
Oh, that's true.
like a projector would do it.
Yeah.
But even if you had a big screen, bigger screen monitor, like I
Hmm.
have a pretty big one at work, and I do
Hmm.
actually like working on. I like being there because of my monitor to work on the TV series because
Yeah, because you can
I
see
can
it.
organize it around.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's kind of reaffirmed. I'm like, ooh, okay, I need to get at least for that. Now, the interesting thing with songs and music, because it's a, so to speak, a smaller amount of information,
Oh,
it
sure.
works well. But I do notice, like, even have I have Logic Pro open right now. And for those of you guys that aren't in music, Logic Pro is how I record. It's one of
Yeah,
the recording
me too.
programs out there.
Hmm.
Digital audio workface, that's I think what it stands for, DAW. And I have it open on my computer and I'm looking at it just in the periphery and I'm like, oh, I just realized most of the time I have it so that I can see the whole song
Yeah.
in the screen. And that's just how my brain works, unless I need to then scroll out really quick, jump in there, fix something, close it back down. I need something like that for my for
Yeah.
these bigger projects.
Well, yeah, because a
Okay.
song is just a scene,
Exactly. Yeah. Song
right?
is just a scene and we're
So
working on how
we're
many scenes?
working on the whole big thing. But you
Yeah.
know what? That's why also, they do the storyboards.
Yep.
We aren't doing
Yep.
any of that. And maybe we should look at that. Maybe we should look at
It
doing a
might
storyboard.
not be a bad idea. That's as close as with the Canva that we created. So
Yeah.
and those of you guys may not, I don't know if you use, if those out there use Canva, but it's awesome for marketing stuff, but it's also really good for being creative. They have a whiteboard just for the because those of you guys out there that might want to use this or benefit from it. We created a whiteboard for our series
Yeah.
where we can then lay out, the episodes and you can zoom in and you can zoom out. um Sorry, yeah, so I was just
I
thinking
think
about
that's, I mean, yeah, I think that's a great, good. I mean, you are organized. So you organize that. So you're really good at organizing it for your brain. I think we just, right now, we're like, it's kind of all, we're trying to, well, you know what? I'm a big picture person too. And
yeah,
so
I
right now
struggle with the
we're
details.
supposed to be working on the details.
Yeah. Yeah,
And
okay,
the
so we
details aren't
realize
as
that, okay.
fun, but
Right.
it's like once I get in there and I get going, then it works because
Yeah,
it connects to everything else. But
I think that's
yeah,
a good point to make though too, that like I sorry, so my brain's going into different directions. When I was in grad school, one of the things that we learned is that act 2, so when it comes to a script,
yeah,
but the neat thing is we can relate this to pretty much any other piece of art or any other artistic talent or ability or pursuit. But when you look at a script, you've got act 1, act 2, act 3, beginning, middle, end, right? That's the
hmm,
case for anything.
right.
Act 2 is always always the hardest.
Oh,
It is
sure.
always
It's
where
like
if a
verse two is always
like
harder for me than the
verse 2 is
bridge.
always hardest. So if you look at it that way, one, that tells you you're not alone when all of a sudden it's like, ooh, the fun part kind of feels like it's over. It's not, but you're in the messy middle. I think that's what they called it in grad school, the messy middle of act
Yeah,
2,
yeah,
where if a film is going to fail, it's because of act 2. If you can't get something written, like if you're just stuck, you're in act 2 and that's typically where you get stuck. And I'm like, okay. And I think what that can do is not to be a negative thing, not to drag you down and go, oh, well, crap, I'm getting stuck in act 2 and I can't move forward. It's like, no, that just means that you're in the gritty. But the thing is like, if you can overcome act 2, you've nailed it. Like, so put forth the effort, know that it's going to take more effort. The fun part is the beginning when you're, like you said, when you're brainstorming and coming up with ideas and, all that stuff. And then the end is so satisfying because you're wrapping everything up. But that middle is like, oh, what am I going to do? And for a script, it's like 60 pages, right? The beginning is typically about 30, roughly based on
yeah,
a 90 page, it's 30, 60, and 30 pages. So you're going, oh, what am I going to do for 60 pages? You
yeah.
know? So it's like, but it just takes more grit. You just push through it, but you will be stronger on the other side of it. And I'm
Yes.
literally preaching to myself right now.
Well, and that's what we're going to be doing on our break,
Uh-huh.
like from the
Exactly.
creative download. We're just we and I think that was a great decision. We made a decision to have a season, and the
Yeah.
season one have some time. We're really excited about going to the production music conference. You're going to fly out to San Diego. We're going to drive up to
Yes.
LA.
Woohoo.
and meet a lot of the sync people we are meeting now. And
And
this
other
is like my
creatives in our
first time.
industry.
Yes.
Yeah.
Hopefully meet with your friend who is a showrunner that we can get
Hmm.
third eyes, or at least contact and
Yeah, even if just connecting with
connecting
them,
with
just,
him.
you know, him and a couple other people.
Yeah. I mean, we had a lot of good stuff going on. I think it'll be fun to come back with season 2 of the Creative Download
Yeah.
and be able to tell you all like where we've grown in our TV series. Like, where are we
That'll be
next?
fun.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
still can't tell anybody like what it is.
Yeah.
It's like kind of, yeah, and that's fine. I think we'll wait and probably not tell anybody for a long time, but to know like this podcast is about being in the process, not
Hmm.
in the finished version of it, but
Yep.
we, which I think is great.
Hmm.
I think it's great to hear what other people are going through in their writing and their co-writing and collaborating, and
Hmm.
on even if you're writing on your own, like that,
Hmm. Yeah.
just to say, continue to say yes to that creative idea, and then also learn the discernment of no when that anything's starting to come in too much,
Yeah.
or like the resistance is showing up.
Yeah. Is it
No.
resistance that's fighting you? Or is it a genuine, like, you know what? No, this isn't the right direction. You need to take a left. You need to take that left 20 at Albuquerque. And for
Yeah.
those of you that don't know that reference, it's a Bugs Bunny reference, and he's
Yeah.
fantastic. That makes me think too of well, so before that, so talking about the conference, I think now we have no, so this is both of our first time. We have no idea. We just know it's going to be a pretty busy schedule while we're there.
Yes.
But our hope for any of those that anybody out there that is excited to hear about it or whatever, we're
Yeah.
hoping to maybe do a live episode,
Yeah.
or at minimum
While we're
maybe
there.
record a couple things along the trip, and then maybe we'll put an episode together, or both, who knows.
Yeah.
So we're hoping to share that with you, so we'll be coming back at you, and then we'll start season 2 probably talking about the conference and everything. But
Yeah.
so I know we're excited for that. I think a good thing to wrap up with, like, for this last episode, we've talked about this before too. So along with the just say yes, Christy and I were just talking the other day about how we're still coming across these instances where it's like it's never too late.
Yes.
So not only just say yes, it's really never too late. And so one of the books that she and I are reading right now is called Find Your Unicorn Space. We've talked about it a little bit. Eve Rodsky, as I think how you say her last name. Uh, and I just, well, I cannot remember now. I should have looked at my text messages, because I texted you something that made me think of that, where I was like, man, this came up, and it just made me realize, like, it's never too late. Um, and one of the things that came up in the book was, so for any of you guys that have the book, she's on page one, it's on page 161 in Find Your Unicorn Space. It says, if you too are dealing with shame or fear because your life didn't turn out precisely in the manner or order you planned, it's not too late.
Right.
And I have struggled with that. I mean, why is that we think, you have to be these young prodigies, to, or otherwise you've missed it. I mean, I had that mindset for so long. I
Yeah.
mean, and I still struggle with that. I still am like, oh, but the neat thing that's changed for me is, like, because I'm a storyteller through, I mean, I think we're all storytellers through, through our art, whatever that may be. So me as storyteller, I realize I'm like, oh my gosh, I wouldn't have these stories to tell. I wouldn't have these songs to write about
Right.
if I haven't gone through what I've gone through, you know, before I was, when I was young, when I was in my 20s, or, early 20s and teens, like, yeah, we all experienced stuff, but I really didn't have a lot to write about yet. I hadn't experienced life, you know. And now it's like, oh man, I have so many stories to tell. I think Jody and Mike mentioned something about that. I can't remember if it was in a post or if it was on a Facebook thing or something, but for Sync Titans, they mentioned, I want to say it was Jody that
Mm.
said he was in the elevator, or he had overheard a conversation, specifically regarding like sync songs, music
Yeah.
for sync, for placement. or music producers or something talking about how they're like, man, all these young, kids, they don't know how to really sing about heartbreak. They've never had their heart broken. We need people that have experienced that, and that's typically the, older generations,
The ache. Yeah.
the ache, the real ache, I think they were talking about like singing with authenticity and stuff, but I was like, that's really encouraging because it's like, oh, I can sing about heartbreak now, and
Yes.
mean it, like you've
Yes.
talked about with your songs, like really getting into the character, not just singing this song, but getting into the character because it's a part of a scene,
Yes.
and it's like, ooh, okay, I can sing a lot of different things because I've experienced it. And there's something to be said for that. And you can hear
Yes.
it, you
You
know,
can hear it. You can get the feel of it. I
you
think
feel
that's
it.
the,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I mean, I feel like we have been spoon fed
Mm-hmm.
a mindset of, okay, this is how old you need to be when you do this, and this is how old you need to be when you do that. And um, I think that is a bunch of BS.
Mm-hmm.
I
I
will
agree.
I will always be doing something in my entire life. I don't believe in retirement. Like that
Same.
to me was is part of what was kind of fed to my family
Same.
growing up, is that you just go work a really hard job that you suffer in, and then when you're done with that you can live your life. Well, I've experienced a very close family member who died 6 months before she
Yeah.
retired doing that.
Yeah.
I was already well on my path of continuing with music and writing and stuff, but like I just don't think it's ever a time, and especially with women that are our age and in 50s and 60s and even 70s and older, like we have so much to share. We have so
Mm-hmm.
much to offer where there's wisdom and experience, and I think the mindset is so much, and I think that's why we wanted to finish this with just saying yes
Yeah.
to that kind of a mindset, that it's
Yeah.
never too late,
Yeah.
that you can have creativity your whole life. You can wake up one day and decide, I want to try learning a new language. Like we know now about the brain that we didn't know even 10 years ago. And
Mm-hmm.
that the brain is still, the neuroplasticity of the brain is still there and still growing when we're older, and even physically.
Yeah.
So it's like I remember like a moment in time where like read a study about a physical therapist that was taking weight training into nursing homes for her clients that were 80 and older.
Oh, wow.
And she did a 3 month long workout plan with these clients,
Mm-hmm.
and half of them were on walkers, the other half were in wheelchairs.
Wow.
And by the end of the 3 months, those who were in the walkers did not need them anymore, and those who had been in wheelchairs were able to walk,
Wow.
with some assistance. That we don't, our muscles can still grow, our brains can still stay active. It is really a lot about what we do day to day, what we
Yeah.
say yes to,
Yeah.
what we do and we don't do. And I think if we're saying yes to our, radical self-care, and we're saying yes to our dreams, even if they're big, and we're going to do all the little steps it takes to get there,
Yeah.
if we're saying yes to all of that, then it's how is it not going to happen?
Well, and it makes me, yeah, exactly. And it makes me think too, back to the phrase that can feel and I can't think of the word now all of a sudden. But the phrase that it's not the things that you did that you regret, it's the things that you didn't
Didn't
do
do.
that you
Right.
regret later in life.
Right.
And I should probably put that, like, paint that on my wall, because I think that's part of what I'm dealing with, with our TV series. It's like, okay, once we actually submit it or try and start pitching it or whatever, then, either something happens with it or it doesn't. Until then, we're in the, ooh, something could happen. And I
Yeah, it's
think
kind of
that's
like
partly what
letting.
keeps you kind of
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
it's safe there in a weird way, because it's like, ooh, something could still happen. But when you actually let it go and it's like, something might not happen.
Well, timing is everything. So it's like
Mhm.
it may or may not. I mean, I think I just go back to like the songs that I have. Like I have songs that I wrote like, over 10 years ago
Mhm.
that all of a sudden like are getting played in Brazil or whatever on Spotify. Like it's just what? Like so we don't
Yeah,
know when what we've written. Like there's a lot of artists that did
very
their
true.
art that didn't necessarily get recognized right away. So like my hope is that Doozer Productions loves it.
Yeah.
And
Just a
it's on
shout out
Apple
there in case you guys
TV.
are listening.
But maybe that's not where it's supposed to go. So that's
Right.
that. Remember, we did the last thing we should say is the creative mystery gets to have the final say.
Yes, we are
And
putting it
so
out there.
we're doing this. We think it needs to go somewhere, but really, where is it supposed to go?
Yeah, we have
And
that. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
no, that's it. Where is it supposed to go? And that
Yeah.
the universe, the universal mystery takes that and it goes where it's supposed to go. When it's
Yeah,
supposed to go.
we're doing the work. We're doing what we think is our part. And then, again, if it's not going in this direction, we're going to be open to where it's supposed to go
Yeah.
and where it's supposed to
And we'll
land.
start another one.
Exactly. That'll be
Just
the
like
thing. It's
another
like maybe,
song.
yeah, because maybe this is supposed to be, the launching pad to a different episode, different series. Who knows?
We don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it'll be exciting. Well,
Oh,
it's been so fun.
yes.
Yeah, and we will be back
Yes.
for season 2. We're thinking probably like maybe fall, like middle of fall, maybe
Yes.
after the conference. We'll be
Yeah.
excited to come back and talk about that and bring on some more guests.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, we need to
So
have more guests next season.
yeah,
George
it's
was
so
our
fun.
first guest, and I just love that he was our first guest, but we'll
Yeah,
need
it
to
was
bring on
perfect.
at least 2 or 3 guests for next season and,
Yeah.
some
Yeah.
people that I think we've talked about on this. Um,
Yeah.
we'll have to reach out to. Another whole thing of like asking,
Yeah. Dreaming big.
dreaming big.
Let it,
So,
taking a chance. I mean, like, what we want, like, honestly, I mean, I want to have Eve Rodsky,
yes,
the author of The Unicorn Space. I want to have her as a guest. I think she would love what we're doing.
yes,
And I think that's a possibility,
I do
so
too.
we're gonna aim big and manifest things like that. And if they end up going in a different direction, then we'll be open to that.
Yes,
So
yes,
yeah, so we leave you with that. Like,
yes,
just say yes to what you're supposed to say yes to in your art, in your life, in your personal, like we said with the self-care. There's self-care is so important, especially when it comes to your art, like you
yes.
just so yeah, so be open to those things. But
Yes. Well, we will see you in the fall.
yes, bye
Season 2.
guys. Thanks for
Bye,
listening.
guys.
Oh, you know what? Before we go,
Yes.
we're so bad about remembering. Follow us on YouTube. You can follow us on our social pages,
Yes.
the Creative Download Podcast for all of that. The Creative Download Podcast.com. Like, share, follow. We'd love to have your support.
Yeah.
Okay, that's all.
Yeah. If you like it, share it with your friends, and
Yeah.
everyone's welcome.
Yes. So okay, now on that note, bye
Okay.
everyone.
Bye, guys.
Bye. Thanks for listening to The Creative Download, hosted and produced by Christy Bruneau and Chelsea Nettleton, edited by Chelsea Nettleton.